Welcome to Chickenlandia. I am the president of Chickenlandia, and today I'm going to tell you all about how to prepare and care for your chickens in the winter months. I did do a video a couple weeks ago. It's all about how to winterize your coop and run for the winter. So if you get a chance, definitely watch that. There's a lot of good information in it. And I talk specifically about what you need to do in the coop and in the run to get your chickens through the winter in regards to their shelter. Today, I'm going to talk about what you can do to help your chickens get through winter. We're going to talk about what to feed them. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to make it worry-free because that's how we do it in Chickenlandia. We already know from my other videos that we need good ventilation in our coops to get through the winter. We know that it's actually moisture rather than cold that is the enemy in the winter and could really harm your chickens. Like they could get frostbite or they could get respiratory issues. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it in this video, but make sure you have good ventilation in your coop, but it's not drafty where they are roosting. Hopefully by now your chickens are done molting. They might not be. I have many chickens that are still molting right now and it's like, oh my gosh, it's getting cold. But none of them are in a really hard molt, so they should be okay. If you do have a chicken that is molting and the temperatures get really low, you might want to bring that chicken inside, give them some good high protein treats until they grow some of those feathers back or until the temperature rises a little bit. Alright, well here I am, scraping poop again. You know, if anyone asks, where's the president of Chickenlandia? You can pretty much bet I'm outside scraping poop. It's super important in the winter to stay on top of cleaning your coop because you don't want ammonia fumes building up in your coop over the winter. Keep your coop nice and clean and make sure you're scraping the poop. So if you don't know this already, I am a backyard chicken educator here in the Pacific Northwest. I do lots of seminars, I teach classes. I just really like to help people get started on their chicken keeping journey. It's my total passion in life. So one of the most common concerns that I get from my students and from my fans is, you know, I'm worried about the winter. I'm worried that it's gonna get too cold. I'm thinking about adding heat possibly to my coop. I think that's totally understandable. It's hard, you know, when we think about animals that are domesticated, it's hard to think about them being outside. I just want people to feel reassured that chickens, especially chickens that are cold hardy breeds, are going to be just fine in most cases during the winter without any heat. If you were to pick up your chicken and lift their feathers, you would see that they have very thick, fluffy feathers that are all strategically placed around their body to really insulate them from the elements and keep them nice and warm. Plus, their metabolisms are way faster than ours. So when we're thinking about our chickens being outside overnight or in their coop overnight, remember not to compare it to what your experience would be if you were in the coop overnight. You would be quite cold because you're a person and your metabolism is slower and you're not wearing this big down coat all over your body, including your face. If you are right now in the beginning of your chicken keeping journey and you're just researching what kind of chickens you want to get in the spring, I would suggest if you live in a cold climate to consider getting chickens that are cold hardy. Now these would be the bigger, fluffier breeds, Black Australorp, Rhode Island Reds, Barred Rocks, those kind of big, fluffy breeds that have a lot of insulation, and if they have fluffy feet, that's usually another good indication. If they're standard size, that they are gonna do just fine over the winter. Another thing that you will want to remember to ease your worry about your chickens being in their coop overnight in the cold months is that it is going to be warmer in the coop generally than it is outside. So if you were to take the temperature inside the coop and then also take it outside of the coop, you will find that it will be warmer inside the coop by probably several degrees. During the winter months, my chickens do not have access to pasture. They don't get as many bugs and worms in the winter, obviously, because it's just too cold and they're just don't find those things in their natural environment. So I do supplement with mealworms or grubs are my favorite. And I also will grow fodder for them and I will sprout grains for them. And both of those things are super easy to do. I am going to put a link in the description on how to sprout your own grains. So easy, and it's a great way to get some good nutrition in them that they would normally be missing out on during this time of year. Another thing that I really like to do during the winter is give them a little bit of a treat before they go to bed, just to get them through the night and heat their little bodies up. I will give them either scratch grain or cracked corn. The main thing I would tell you to remember is that you only want to give them as much as they will eat right then so that you don't have corn or scratch grain hanging around your coop and run overnight. There's a lot of animals out there that are a little more desperate in the winter for food, and they will definitely come into your chicken yard or coop if they know there's a buffet there. So let's not give them an excuse to do that. Make sure your chickens eat all of their cracked corn or their scratch grains before they go to bed so that it's not sitting out overnight. I personally don't live in an area where frostbite is that much of a concern. I also am very diligent about keeping the moisture down in my coop, and that's when you might have trouble with frostbite. So I really don't have to do much in terms of preventing it. There are some folks that like to use Vaseline or bag balm. They like to rub the Vaseline or the bag balm on their combs and wattles to prevent the frostbite. Now, I've heard mixed reviews on this, so I can't tell you definitely whether or not it helps. If you've done it and it worked, let me know in the comments. Or if you've done it and it didn't work, let me know in the comments, because I want to know. Fresh, clean water is really important all year, but it's super duper important in the winter. Chicken waterers and chicken dishes, dog dishes, whatever you're using can freeze if the temperature drops. Of course, the best and easiest way to make sure that your chickens have a constant supply of clean water is to get a heated waterer. Now you can get one like I have. I actually have a duck waterer. There's also heated nipple waterers and other types of chicken waterers that are heated. And guess what? It's just started snowing. Oh my goodness, I'm going in the coop. One thing I do understand is not everybody can just go out and buy a heated waterer. They're not that expensive depending on what kind you get, but for many people it doesn't matter if they're not expensive, they just can't afford to buy one at all. So in the effort to keep chicken keeping inclusive, I will say you can do it. It's just gonna take a little bit more work. So what you will need to do is make sure that you dump the water out at night, get the ice out of it, and then in the morning you can refill it. And then during the day, you're gonna need to check on that waterer to make sure that it hasn't frozen and your chickens are still able to get water. Right now I am adding some extra bedding to the floor of my coop. I just have pine shavings, but if you have straw, that's a great one. I know there have been some concerns about straw possibly creating mold in your coop and holding moisture. I think if you are paying attention to the moisture level in your coop and keeping things very dry, that you're not going to have a problem with a whole bunch of moisture building up in the straw. If the straw is developing mold and holding moisture, then you know that there's too much moisture in your coop. But you shouldn't be having that problem. So I think if you are paying attention, it will not be an issue, and actually it will insulate your coop quite well. You know, one of the things that I always think about when I see my chickens roosting together at night is that I have all kinds of breeds of chickens. They're all misfits coming from somewhere. Most of them are rescue chickens. They're all different colors. They're all different sizes. They're all different ages. But at night, they take care of each other as a flock. They warm each other up as a flock, and they make sure that they can get through the night. And I think how wonderful it would be if we lived in a world where humans did that for each other without conditions. A world where everybody, no matter what, was warm and safe at night. It could happen.